But even the word infertility to me is a very depleting, difficult word. And I would encourage people not to use that. I'm on a fertility journey is very different. Or I'm on an adventure to become a mother is very different. And you will become a match for that instead of being a match for infertility.
Welcome to the Baby Makers podcast, Ariane De Bonvoisin. I am so happy to meet you and really excited about this conversation.
Danica, it's my pleasure. I've been excited since I knew of your podcast. I felt that there was a meeting of minds, souls, spirits. So this means a lot to me for you having me as a guest.
Likewise, your book, Spirit Mama, a more conscious journey through motherhood. I love this book. I am going to recommend it so highly right here from the very beginning because I think, and I know of many fertility books out there, but I feel like you managed to accomplish what I think all of those other books were trying. Like you cover the physical aspect, what to screen, what to do, what to eat, what vitamins, what supplements, what tests. Then you cover the emotional component, the partner, the role of the relationship, and the spiritual, psychospiritual, personal growth and discovery. And that was no small undertaking. And every single line is like underlined in here. I had post-it notes, I had underlines, arrows. Like I just read through it so quickly because it's what I'm talking about all the time. But I just want to say kudos to you. That was a lot of work. What?
Thank you. Thank you, Danica. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, I have to imagine that a lot of it was, let's say, channeled, would you say? Can you
Mm.
give me a sense, and my listeners, let us know
Yeah.
what transpired to call this second child into the world?
Yeah. So I am a mother of a beautiful boy called Everest, who is 12. I always knew that he was around me, even before he was conceived. And I'll be honest with you, I felt him before I even felt my husband.
Mhm.
And while I knew that I wanted to bring in a child with a partner, I actually called upon that soul to have me meet my husband. And I said, listen, you know who your father is or where he is. So if you want to come in, you need to make it very, very obvious, not only to me, but also to him, that this is going to happen. And I'd say that probably took less than a year before I met my husband in a temple in Cambodia. Very spiritual story. That's for another story, another podcast. So our son came through very quickly, pretty much the first time we tried. And I was 40,
Mhm.
which I had never taken on the beliefs or the mainstream consensus consciousness that
Mhm.
that would be anything but, in flow for me. Then we tried for more children and we did everything from the most um, emotional, spiritual, different that I had heard about to the most scientific and helpful that was also possible. And that did not happen. And I felt like in the 4 or 5 years that I was on that journey for another child, that there was a bigger plan going on for me and that I was actually going to be used to help other people have children. And
Mhm.
that was downloaded quite clearly to me that when we had our son and then when we brought in our dog, Waffle, our golden retriever, that our tribe was complete. And so instead of just going, well, I've learned all these amazing things from hundreds of people around the world that I met and I interviewed, not only for my own journey, but in some case to help other people, in a dozen different countries, that there was a book or even a book series, that there were going to be workshops, and that I could hold the energy of motherhood in a different way. Because I think there are many ways to be a mother. You can birth a book, you can birth a child, you can birth a business, you can birth a dream, you can birth a school, a home. So it was another way for me to experience motherhood. And I also feel like with what's happening in the world right now, that the energy of the mother is very much needed
Yeah.
in all the traditional ways, but also in the non-traditional ways. So the way the book showed up was primarily through my own felt experience, which I think any reader would feel that this isn't theoretical.
Hmm.
There's a real kind of heart-opening kind of space in the book. And it's also got the most amazing, not necessarily mainstream suggestions, ideas, possibilities from temples in Bhutan to, things that people do in South America, or why so many people in Africa also get pregnant. And it was this treasure hunt for me, and it was an adventure. And I would say first, I would hope and I would invite people to see the journey a little bit as an adventure and a treasure hunt. That's the first thing I would say. So the book was certainly guided. I was told you need to write this book. And it was going to be healing for myself to the point that I can now speak about it without the grief or the emotion or the struggle or the hope or the possibility, but from a place where it's like, this is now a giving instead of something that I was supposed to receive. So it feels really great to be at this point. And I feel like the world and people are much more open and ready for a book that combines, that has a foot in both worlds, right? So the book is as practical, physical, direct in terms of what to do, and emotional and spiritual and heart opening. And I feel the fertility journey has sometimes been a choice. It's an either or. Either we're going to go this way or we're going to go that way. And I think the quality of togetherness and where everything is spiritual. It's not like, well, this is spiritual and this is not spiritual. To me, IVF is just as spiritual as
100.
family constellations or acupuncture or astrology. It's like the whole thing is spiritual.
Hmm. Reading your book felt like indulging in multiple conversations with a really close girlfriend,
Mm.
where like our paths to motherhood are very similar. I don't want to talk very much about my path. This is your interview, but they are eerily similar. And Um, I had multiple conversations with a girlfriend about all of these different things, and we would point out, like, wow, we're having a day of a lot of revelations right now. We're really downloading a lot. And because we are both practitioners, we would share that information with our patients. And then neither one of us were actively trying at the time, but we would see one woman after another in our practice conceiving as she trusted us and embodied those wisdoms. So
Mm.
I used to, and I, inside the seed program, refer to this as the spirit of a mother. So when your book came across my consciousness, Spirit Mama, I just knew we needed to have this conversation. Also, your name, Ariane De Bonvoisin, a voice
Mm.
for the spirit mamas out there, as all of us are. Like you said, there's so many different ways we can mother, right? From our pets to our kids, I mean, our friends' children, to all the different creative projects. So,
Absolutely. And the word for me, spirit mama, when it came to me, it really was about merging the energies of motherhood with something greater,
something bigger.
something bigger. And there's so many words for it, and everyone has their own word. Um, I don't have a favorite word. I love all of them. I love grace. I love God. I love the divine spirit, source, love,
Source. Yeah.
consciousness, higher
Uh-huh.
power. I love all of them. But to
Yeah.
me, it was taking this energy of motherhood and sort of pointing it in the same direction where we're opening up to that, allowed that to also be part of the journey of conception and fertility. So it's it's a term, you don't need to be spiritual to read the book. You don't need to have been on a spiritual journey. You don't need to have done any self-growth. Like I think every reader will feel very at home in this book. There are no scary terms. Everyone's going to go, "Oh yeah, that is me. Oh, that's
Well,
exactly how I feel about life or the universe." Or do you see, it's very inclusive.
well, Ariane, how you started the book was with a question asking the reader, what might you do different? And that invites them to read the pages and sit with. Like you have many different lists of things, like general prompts, little questions for a
Yeah.
little bit of introspection. And women can read this and put the book down and but it's kind of working on their subconscious, seeing the cover, seeing the colors. This sort of I work with various different therapists and alternative healers and
Hmm.
we're always kind of talking about this topic of how quickly do we jump into the deep end with our clients, right? Because not everybody wants to swim in the deep end, but
Yeah.
to help them put their feet in the water and see that it's actually um, comfortable and that then they have the choice to go deeper with the material. And I just thought that was such a good way you said there's something bigger going on here. And spirit doesn't mean yoga and meditation and sitting in a lotus position and looking uptight and somehow, it's a bunch of crystals and different things.
And you've got to wear white.
Yeah, it's whatever it
No.
is that speaks to us, I think.
Yeah. When people ask me, I do a lot of coaching and a lot of people go, well, how do you meet people, in the spiritual? And I sort of go, I, I just meet them in the same heart space because I really believe that we are all equally spiritual, whether someone's done 100 hours of yoga or will never do yoga. Everyone is an equal as a
Mhm.
soul. So it's it's not something you need to do. It's something you need to remember.
Right. Right.
So this is a remembering book, right? It's
Yeah.
not oh my God, 10 more things that I need to
Have
do and I'm
to
going to
do.
make myself feel
Uh-huh.
guilty or not good enough. It's the absolute opposite of that.
And it's also not religion. Spirituality is way more than the various different forms of organized religion available. Spirituality encompasses it all. Spirituality is like loving ourselves and loving the external something bigger that's like our container and
Yeah.
and then just being in a flow state with it and knowing that we're going to make mistakes, experience hard times and challenges and struggles, but that's part of what we signed up for. And that really kind of moves it into a different space where we can
Yeah.
hopefully get the listeners open-minded to not see, oh, spirituality is going to be a bunch of God talk. And, you know, really,
Yeah, not at all. And I would say that whether it's religion or any spiritual path or any life path, let's call it life, it all points to love, right? So I
mhm.
don't think anyone's going to argue with the word love. Um,
Good
so
point.
let's call it the love path, right? It could
Uh-huh.
be a love mama, right? I've never
Uh-huh.
said that before, but I could have called it the love mama
Uh-huh.
because all spiritual traditions point to love. It's like different doors into the same room. But if you really walk through your own door, whether it is a religious door, a spiritual door, a life door, you are eventually going to get to love. And one of the points that I really, it's so important to make is that the journey of fertility, conception, or any path to motherhood, including surrogacy, including adoption, including, foster care, including any type of path to motherhood, it begins with love, it starts with love, in the middle is love, and at the end is love. And one of the most important types of love to develop is not the love for the child that's going to come into your life or the partner that's going to come into your life. It's to develop your own self-love. And that is desperately missing. And
Hmm.
I think one of the invitations that we get when we start the journey of motherhood or when we're on it and it's challenging is to really open up that space for self-love. And where does self-love start, especially with women? It starts with loving the body.
Hmm.
That's a big starting point. And when I've helped women go through this journey, I often go to this as a foundational piece because, you know, babies come through the body
Right.
and the body needs to really be loved. And I think everyone, including myself, we all have more possibility to have even more love exist within the physical body. But we can call it love just because there's no arguments around love, and that is the opportunity for us to bring in a child is to love another human being. But I think sometimes the baby or the child is asking us to love ourselves first before it shows up.
Yeah, shocking. And so spot on. Since I work in the trenches one on one, and you do too, I'm shocked at how commonplace it is for the women to not be aware of the negative self-talk or the way that they will apologize for so many things. Like I'll drop a pin on the floor and they'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry." What is this? Like
Mm.
we it's an interesting time to be a human where, like you said, we need more than ever before more moms, more of this divine mother, feminine energy
Yeah.
that is loving towards the self and the spirits that come through that want us to get that lesson before they can come in. When
Yeah.
you're doing
There's a
coach,
softness, right? There's a softness to the feminine. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of us, myself included, when I had big jobs in New York, we're in the hard, we're in the control, we're in the toughness. And I think the permission to be soft, the permission to be gentle. We all think we're going to do it when the child shows up, but we have to give ourselves permission to also be soft and gentle first.
Hmm. So when you're doing coaching and you see this come up where it's seeming like, wow, she needs that lesson, how do you soften them up?
Yeah. Here when I'm coaching women or couples, I look for a few things. I look for what are the dominant programs that are going on in the background. Because women are so intelligent and we all have our blind spots and we all have our programs. Some of us have had them installed at birth, some of them at 5, 10, 15, 25 years old. But we all have these programs. And I think it's helpful for women to know what these programs are and to bring them out of their blind spots so that they have some awareness of it. One of the things I said is noticing fixes more than fixing.
You say that again because I saw that in the book.
So
Noticing, noticing
fix,
a habit, a pattern.
noticing a habit, a pattern, a program fixes more than fixing it. So a lot of people are like, well, tell me what to do, or tell me the action plan, or how do I stop feeling guilty, or how do I stop feeling whatever. And the noticing fixes more than the to-do list, than the fixing. So I'll give you some examples of some programs that are classic. I've had a lot of them. I still have some. One of them is the disapproval program,
Oh,
right? The disapproval program is there are all these things that I disapprove of in myself, in others, in life, in where I'm at with my life. But the disapproval program is very strong. One of the things I invite people to do is to do a 30-day, no disapproval program, no disapproval diet, where you just have an awareness and just go, oh my gosh, today I disapproved of myself 47 times. And tomorrow it might be 36. And then tomorrow, after tomorrow, it might be 11. But the disapproval program, very strong in women.
I think disapproval kind of comes along with that ideal woman is out there and she does it right, and therefore I'm doing it wrong because some ideal woman exists who is perfect. And so that comparing.
You're leading me right into my next two programs.
Oh,
So the next program I look for is the perfection program.
perfectionist, yeah.
There are ways to be perfect. I've got to do the fertility journey perfectly. I've got to do the pregnancy perfectly. I've got to do the birth perfectly. There's one thing children teach you is they really push you on the not perfect program. So
Hmm.
it's like having the awareness of, how much am I still in the perfection program? How much am I in the comparison program? There's a lot of comparisons that are possible these days. The one that is probably the most challenging is the control program.
Oh, yeah.
So most of
Because
us, up until we wanted children, had this illusion in a sense that we were in control of our lives. We controlled maybe our fitness and weight. We controlled our work. We controlled where we lived. We controlled our reputation now. We controlled who our friends were. So up until very often the journey of conception and fertility, women have the illusion, actually men too, have the illusion that they can control all aspects of their life. And I think what makes the fertility challenges so difficult are it is often the first time for couples that they are faced with, wow, I'm not in control.
hmm
Wow, I can't get the job. I can't get the degree. I can't get the fill in the blank. And that is a crumbling of a structure of how we have created the foundation of our lives. And in the crumbling is where the light can come through, where there is something bigger going on that you are not in control of. And it is an invitation to create a relationship with that, whatever we want to call it, that says, I've got you. You don't have to be in control. But the control program is very sticky because you can throw all the money at it. It doesn't change. You can throw all the amazing fertility experts, healers, doctors, IVF. The control program is not there to upset us. It's there to open us up to life is in control.
hmm We certainly learned that um, more than ever in the pandemic and every day since, right?
Absolutely.
Like if we learned nothing else in that era, from that era, was that what we think is going to happen, we cannot hang our hat on it. We are now very aware that we are not in control, or to think we're in control is complete illusion, but that there, to be in, I guess, to give into the uncertainty of it all,
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
surrender to it.
And we live in a world right now where, to talk about emotions for a second, the two dominant emotions on the planet are fear and
Love.
uncertainty.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Negative emotions, right?
Yes.
Worry and fear.
Fear and uncertainty are probably the two dominant emotions on the planet right now. And
Hmm.
so what do? We either get swallowed into the fear or we get swallowed into the uncertainty or both.
Hmm.
And and the journey to conception can sometimes bring those two up even more, even though the earth itself is already kind of bringing them up in our face.
Uh-huh.
And so for me, if you asked me, one of the dominant things with relationship to source, spirit, love is the ability to rest in uncertainty and to
Hmm.
rest in the unknown, which is so new for people.
Hmm.
And,
Yeah.
you talk about pregnancy. Pregnancy is a journey of not being in control,
Yeah.
right?
It
For
is.
9 months, you're not in control. You don't wake up and go, oh, it's lungs day today, or it's eyebrows day today, or it's toenails day today. You are you are allowing an environment for a physical being to be made, but you are not in control at all. And so
Mhm,
ultimately, if we can just learn the I'm not going to be in control before being pregnant, it
mhm.
will make this fertility journey a lot easier.
Sure. Like starting before ending up at the IVF clinic,
Exactly.
before and during, as we're there and hoping to control the number of eggs, or thinking that if we control the number of eggs and get the right number of eggs, then that's going to equal the perfect or perfect kind of embryos and right number of embryos, and that it's this controllable numbers game.
Correct.
So it's a continual exercise in letting go, letting it happen, surrendering to not knowing the how and when, right? You said that in the book
Correct.
several times.
And when we ask people to surrender, they don't know what to surrender to because the ego and the mind has been in charge of their life up until this point.
Serving
And
them
most
well.
and most of
Yeah.
us have been living above the neck, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is where we hang out. This is
Mm-hmm.
where we make plans. This is where we got degrees, gold stars, jobs. That this is what got a lot of credit above the
Yeah.
neck.
Yeah.
Babies are not made there.
Mm-hmm.
Babies are made below the neck. And
Mm-hmm.
we're so many of us as women, we're so disconnected from what's below the neck. The
I don't think
heart,
it,
the womb, the body, the hips, the all these amazing places within our body. This is so familiar for women.
mm.
This is not familiar for women.
And as you're saying this, for people listening audio,
Oh yes.
the head,
Yes.
what all that's going on in the head is disconnected from the body. And I don't think it's an accident that we're seeing more thyroid uh, dysfunction than ever before, being right there in the middle.
I love this question. You know, the thyroid to me is sort of the super gland, superpower, super hormone, super everything. And if you look at it from more of the traditional Chinese medicine perspective, the thyroid is the gland of expression and self-expression and truth and self-authority and creativity. Those are all words that are somewhat not very familiar for a lot of people. And so
Hmm.
when the thyroid goes a little wonky,
Hmm.
it's it's like a hallelujah, thank you for reminding me. I'm not fully self-expressed. I'm not living my truth. I'm not in the right job. I'm not wearing the right clothes. I'm not eating the right foods. I'm not pursuing my dream. Hallelujah. Right? It's a little wake up and a little knock on the door. It's not a, oh my gosh, I've got a thyroid issue. I had a thyroid issue for maybe 3 months. And, the doctor's like, oh, lifetime medication. And, thank you, life. I knew enough by this point to go, this is just a little gentle knock and it's a little wake up call. So, what is going on with me? Within 3 months, I'd reversed it
Hmm.
through what the thyroid was trying to tell me, which was not just a physical thing. It was, I'm trying to get your attention. Are you paying attention?
Uh-huh. Right. The body has a keen way of doing that, doesn't it?
I love it. I
That's
love it.
why
And
it's very interesting that we've got an epidemic or pandemic of fertility issues, whereby that last seemingly, according to the biological imperative, right? We have to have our cardiovascular system to keep our heart pumping blood, and we need the pulmonary system extracting oxygen and the breath, digestion, excretion, nervous system to detect threats. But reproduction is at the bottom of the list. Like we don't need to reproduce to survive. And so it's all too easy to see how we've become so heady, and yet the opportunity exists there to use the head, the crown chakra, the top of our head, to connect to something bigger through meditation, through quiet moments, even just while driving to work. It is just have stillness, no inputs, and just to listen What might my body be telling me today? What's a message from my higher self? Or even simply, what's my best choice right now?
Love those questions. One of my daily questions, if not hourly questions, is what's my inner microphone telling me?
Uh-huh.
So I call it an inner microphone.
Hmm.
And we all have one. You can call it the intuition, you can call it the gut, you can call it whatever you want. But to me, I call it my inner microphone because with a microphone, you can turn it down and you can turn it up.
Hmm.
And thank you to whoever made our bodies, but you cannot really ever turn it to zero. The microphone is always on. So you can turn it to one or two, and it'll
Hmm.
be a pretty quiet voice, and you're not going to want to listen to it for whatever it's saying. Or you can turn it way up, and you can be aligned with the body, and you can be aligned with the truth, and you can be aligned with potentially higher intelligence that is trying to get through to you through the inner microphone. But on a daily basis, I'm constantly scanning, not only for what my own inner microphone is telling me, but when I work with people, I go, what am I? I'm scanning for what's not being listened to. I'm scanning for what they don't want to hear. I'm scanning for what they're trying to avoid. I'm scanning for what they're tiptoeing around. And my role is just to reflect it back to them and to lift the inner microphone that's telling them something about their partner, themselves, their body, their weight,
Job,
their job, their something.
their diet. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you mentioned in the book the shoulds and negative noise. I
Mhm.
imagine those two things get really loud on the inner microphone, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. And for me, my inner microphone, just to get very personal, told me, it might be time to do IVF. And my spiritual side was like, let's try a bit longer. Let's just give all these other things a chance, right? But my inner microphone was like, no, 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 go for it. Like just do both at the same time. It's no problem. And for quite a few months, the part of me that I thought knew best was kind of running the show and directed things. And I find it so important to do everything whenever it shows up for you. And if there's one quality that goes in line with intuition, but is so important in life, in leadership, in fertility, it's open-mindedness.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
is a huge quality.
Yeah.
And it's if there is anything, whether it's on this podcast or your other amazing episodes that you've done, this book or other books that can help you and has potentially helped someone else, why would you not try it?
Hmm.
Right? Is it a block? Is it a fear? Is it a loyalty? Is it a delay? I honestly, open-mindedness, it's like maybe. It's one of my favorite words.
Hmm.
Maybe. Maybe
Maybe.
this is it.
Hmm.
Maybe.
Being open to the field of potentialities, right? As long as this is an episode all about the woo and the spirituality, that really is something for us to consider, right? That all around me over here in LA and all
Yeah.
around you in the UK, there is a universal field of consciousness that's listening to our inner microphone and what we're broadcasting. So
All
when
the time.
broadcasting doubts, fears, worries, negative outcomes, things I should have done sooner or differently, well, that field is going to be delivering more of that. And that is a very hard concept to initially get in your brain. And then it's something that requires constant practice, constant reminding the self. That is part of the human condition, right?
Yes.
To
Yes.
need to remind ourselves all the time that we have some control, here's that word again, some
Mhm.
control by means of what we think and broadcast.
Yes. I would say that we are not told really ever, and especially not as children, that we are we are energy. We think we are these physical beings, but we live in an energetic world. We live in a vibrational universe. Even the scientists would say that we are all vibration, which
Hmm.
means that we are all a frequency.
Hmm.
And a frequency, words have frequency, right? The frequency of love has a very difference than the frequency of war,
Yeah,
right? The
right.
frequency of compassion, gentleness has a very different frequency than the frequency of tough, hard perfection. Right? So even those words. So
Hmm.
if my body is energy and cells, and it's sort of even the word infertility, which I never use, is a hard word to put on the body. The body's going, what the hell is this word? I'm not aligned with that at all. Like I'm healing, I'm taking my time, but even the word infertility to me is a very depleting, difficult word, and I would encourage people not to use that. I'm on a fertility journey
Hmm.
is very different, or I'm on an adventure to become a mother is very different. And you will become a match for that instead of being a match for infertility.
Hmm.
So the having an awareness or a consciousness of what words do I use on a regular basis? How do I clean those up? How do I be really, really choosy and picky? Now is the time. What beliefs do I have around being 40, around having a diagnosis, around having tried for men, like what beliefs have I created? Do you want to keep them going? Or do you want to have different beliefs around what's possible? So every belief is a magnet or a match, right? Every
Hmm.
belief is a magnet and match. So if it's a negative belief, you are literally, it's like a tuning fork. It's
Yeah.
like you're tuning yourself to have that continue. So
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's one of the first places I go with people, which is let's look at beliefs, let's look at language, let's look at words, let's
Hmm.
look at what you've inherited, which is not your own, right? From life, from society, from your mother, from your grandmother, from miscarriages, from whatever it is. But let's look at that because every moment is the opportunity to begin again, not to drag in everything that has apparently been on your journey. It doesn't label you, it doesn't describe you, it doesn't create your identity. It just creates what your journey has been. And I feel like a lot of women, they label themselves. I am. Anything you attach the word I am to, you need to be very, very conscious of, very aware.
Yeah, that broadcasts very loudly, right?
That's good. Very loudly. Energy, frequency, vibration, consciousness. They're all words, again, speaking to this concept of what else is going on that people wouldn't necessarily have within their area of control. And yet, that is an area that we can control. And you
Yeah.
need to be very mindful. I always say, stand guard, like put two bodyguards at the doorway of your mind, like at
Uh-huh.
a nightclub. And who comes in and who doesn't. You
Yeah.
need to be so careful about who comes in to your space, to your field, to your frequency. Like it's one of the most important things I would say. And just to add to that, I often talk about there's two different fields. Most people think there's only the field of reality. The reality is I'm 42. The
Oh, I
reality
love that
is
part in your book. I
I
love that
have
part.
PCOS. The
The
reality is
reality is,
we've been trying for 4 years. And it's like a debate. Like they want to fight me on it.
I want to own it.
They want to own their reality. And
Mhm.
I go, wow, like, I say this with a lot of gentleness and compassion because my reality also, I've had two miscarriages. That is and was my reality. So I say it with a lot of compassion.
Mhm.
There is the reality field, and there is something called the miracle field, or the
Mm.
magic field, or the source field, or the love field.
Field of possibilities.
And the field of possibility, or yeah, magic, miracles, whatever we want to call it. That field is also available. And we need to kind of go, how much time am I spending in the reality field? And how much time am I spending in the miracle field? And
Mhm.
it does take some effort to get into the miracle field because
Mhm.
most people don't live there. They don't
Or
work
they've
there.
been disappointed and
They've
hurt.
been disappointed. Exactly.
Mhm.
So the miracle field for me is one where we are able to raise our beliefs, able to raise what our focus is, we're able to change what things mean, we're able to manifest, if I can use that word, we're able to visualize, we're able to step into a future. Even though it might not be here yet, we're able to step into a future. I've coached a lot of athletes and I get them to step into the future where they've seen themselves do their, gymnastics or tennis or skiing or whatever it is, like exactly the way they want it. And they do it over and over and over so that the body gets it. Every cell knows it. It's not a thinking thing anymore. And
Mhm.
I would encourage people on the fertility journey.
Mhm.
How's it going to feel? How's it going to look? What does the body need to already know? It is already pregnant. And in some ways, you close the gap between the reality field and the miracle field. But you
Mhm.
don't do it from the reality field. You do it
Yeah.
from being and living in the miracle field.
Yeah. Unless you use some kind of play on words of whereby the reality is that there's a limitless set of possibilities, and I want to stay open to that,
That's
right? The
exactly right.
reality is that I might be standing in my way with certain thoughts and beliefs that are no longer serving me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
No, I
you
love I love that. And another thing that comes to mind just to share is that we just talking about identity, one more thing. We have these identities that serve us and we have identities that really don't serve us. And we're not aware of the ones that don't serve us. So people
hmm
have the identity of being an entrepreneur or a businesswoman, an actor, a musician, or a friend, or a sister, or brother, like identities that are wonderful. But we have identities that are going on in the background, such as the superwoman,
Oh yeah.
such as the judge,
hmm
such as the victim,
Yeah.
such as the addict or the obsessed, the obsessive one.
hmm
And I know them all intimately and personally very well, having been there on my journey
That's
myself.
that's how you were able to write about them.
And it's why they're so familiar for me in myself and also recognizing them in other people. They were kind of going, wow, which one has my name on it? I mean, they might all have your name on it. The
hmm
Superwoman, Triple A, definitely had my name on it.
hmm
Just in terms of my background, my career, everything that I've done. And I've just really had to drop that one completely and go, there are no gold stars these days for being a superwoman. And it is
Yeah.
the absolute opposite of what your baby wants and what your child, when it's older, will want. They want as real and human as possible.
hmm
So, real and human clashes a little bit with Superwoman. Superwoman, in a new type of way, can be, and this is what I hope a lot of women now are embodying, which is who is the Superwoman that is real and is
Yeah.
human and is authentic, blessed, wonderful, amazing.
Well, look what you're giving the listener permission to be real and to be human and to be conscious of programs that are running in their psyche. In having that awareness, then the child or children that grow up in an environment with a mother who is self-aware with those things and catches herself and says like, oh, I just caught myself getting into a worry loop or something, or oh, I just realized I have to surrender. I can't control the outcome of this. That helps those children be more resilient and okay in a world that's being created that's totally uncertain.
Absolutely.
It's
We
doing
have a,
them a
we
favor
have
by
a,
being real
yeah,
and raw and unperfect.
absolutely. I mean, I love all of those words, and I feel like those have been the words that life has taught me the most in the last 20 years.
For sure.
Real, authentic.
You said I want to reference your book because I took so many notes. It was I just was like really blown away, impressed, and just so wanting my listeners to get their hands on this book because it kind of validates that there's a lot going on when you find yourself on a fertility journey. And it is very confusing. Some moments are dark, some are very scary, some are really happy. It's totally the definition of grief, the conflicted set of emotions that happens when familiar things or a dream is taken away, when change happens. You were in a loss state or grieving. So, on the chapter about fear and worry, you said this is the hardest one for people to read because this is a quote from your book, all fear wants is to leave the body. It has less hold on us once we shed light on it. That was so clever. And it's like that frees us. That's going back to the notice instead of trying to fix, right? But you're really saying Spirit Mama is self-aware. And in the book, all those times, a Spirit Mama is this. A Spirit Mama accepts her journey exactly the way it is. A Spirit Mama, like on every few pages, it says, Spirit Mama holds a beautiful, sweet, and compassionate space
Yeah,
for her partner to be a human, like the partnership piece. A
absolutely.
spirit mama never blames herself for a miscarriage or challenges that come along the journey.
Yeah,
Like this book applies for people that are going through fertility, finished fertility, are jumping off fertility and it didn't work, or they are spirit mamas and they have a baby in arms, or they have pets instead. Like it's really for all women that have considered baby making.
absolutely. And, just saying one more thing on fear. Fear doesn't go away. I don't have, the perfect snippet to
You're
say
not
what to
over there in
do
the
with
UK living
fear.
outside of fear.
No, actually, I'm in Switzerland, which is a beautiful
Oh,
place to be.
uh-huh.
Yeah, and Switzerland is about as, unfearful as a country as it gets,
Yeah.
just out because of its history. So I feel very grateful to be here. Um, for me, fear always comes with a message, and it always has a desire to try and protect us or keep us safe.
Hmm.
And when we know that we are protected and safe by something greater, then we don't need to do the protecting and the safety measures and the control measures. And that's where I think the most important decision we will ever make is to decide whether we live in a friendly world, a safe world, or an unfriendly world and an unsafe world. And that is a decision we will all need to make at some point in our life. I think Einstein said something similar to this.
Yeah.
And for me, you can tell, instantly, think about all the people you can put them. Are they on the path where life is on their side? Life is good. Humans are good. They're good people. They're good things that are going to happen. Good things are coming your way. You are lucky. There's synchronicity. Everything is in divine order. Life is beautiful and it can be painful, right? That's one group. And then you've got a group where it's like, life is hard. People are horrible. Life is unlucky. Why does all this stuff always happen to me? I'm like, that's probably the biggest foundational choice to make because if we go back to energy and frequency and vibration, you will attract a lot more of the choice or the radio station in some ways that you are tuned into.
Hmm.
So I always say my most important relationship is my relationship with source, love, life, because
Hmm.
when that works, things work differently with my husband, with my son, with my work, with my clients. But do you
Yeah.
see, most people think the most important relationship is not that. And I always joke, I always say, most people charge their cell phone every night. Do they charge themselves up?
Yeah.
Like, how are you charging yourself up? Right. And to me, charging yourself up can be described as, this menu of things, whether it's meditation, whether it's walking in nature, whether it's music, whether it's dancing, whether it's acupuncture, whether it's, drinking wheatgrass, whether it's, I mean, there's so many, and the book has so many. It's like a menu. Pick whatever you
Yeah.
want. It's like
Right.
your food is not my food, but
Uh-huh.
you need to charge yourself up. Like you try every time, I want the listeners to hear this. If you charge your cell phone up at the same time, I want you to ask the question, have I charged myself up today? And if
Mhm.
not, how can I charge myself up? Can I
Mhm.
take a bath? Can I light a candle? Can I journal? Can I read a book? Can I call a friend? But everyone has a cell phone, so I'm now creating an association between charging your cell phone, which by the
Right.
way is your outer technology,
Uh-huh.
to charging your inner technology and your inner environment, which is where hopefully that is where motherhood will happen. It can also happen on the outside.
Mhm. I really love that you emphasized that. And it almost feels like, as a species, we came in missing that important instruction to charge ourselves or to remember that um, not only that we can charge ourselves, but that we are meant to. We're supposed to. I think we put meditation completely last, and that's provided we even have tried it and know to do it or something. Like
Yeah.
it's really interesting. And I think another term from your book was the consensus consciousness, right? When the consensus consciousness finally is really loud about charging ourselves back up, then maybe there's some hope for us. But the consensus consciousness right now is very loud on how hard and how scary and how bad it really, it's,
I love that you're bringing this up.
yeah.
I feel like, so just to be clear, the consensus consciousness is the mainstream consciousness.
Hmm.
So it's what the mainstream wants us to believe about life, about age, about fertility, about men. There's a lot of consensus consciousness about men, about only children, about adopted children, about surrogacy, about making money, about losing money. Like there's a mainstream consensus view on pretty much everything. And I want the listeners to be aware of when they have taken that on as their own consciousness and their own choice. It might be their own choice, but just check in with yourself and go, is this consensus consciousness? Is this my parents' consciousness? Is this my religious consciousness? Is this my professional consciousness? Or is this my chosen one today in this year? And that
Hmm.
might change over time. You know,
Hmm.
consciousness is movable, it's not immutable. This is where I'm at all the time. But that you do have a choice to 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 choose. You know, I always see it as two sides of a river. Right now, there's one side of the river which is all about fear and concern and worry and scarcity and uncertainty and things being very hard and very painful and suffering. It doesn't mean that doesn't exist. Of course it exists. And
Hmm.
there's another side of the river, which is a lot more about choice and love and kindness. And there's also amazingly beautiful things going on, and that life is that also, right? So I'm
Hmm.
not denying either one. Both of them exist. And we are at a time in the world where you do need to choose which side of the river you're going to be on.
Yeah.
And every day, the mainstream is going to 90% try and pull you on one side of the river
Hmm.
through the news, through social media, through, conversations, through what we're hearing, seeing. And it takes a lot of effort to pull yourself on the other side of the river and see it and hold compassion and maybe pray and maybe help and maybe contribute in however way you can to that side of the river. You're not ignoring it, you're not denying it, you're contributing. But you need to do it from a place of, I'm on this chosen side of the river, and that is where I can affect change.
I do think that turning it off is also an option too, that I have to give my patients, especially if they are in an IVF cycle, because tapping into too much of that river of protesting and the negative news and the polarization and that stuff that you're saying, it is real. Neither one of us are denying that. Neither one of us want to make a claim that one way is better or right or wrong. Everybody's got their own ability. That's a freedom that we have. But like recently, I've had some clients that want to do participate in protests, and I understand that. I really get it. And then I have to say, but it's like a sunny, beautiful Saturday. Two questions. What do you hope to gain by doing that with your energy today? And is that really how you want to spend
Yeah,
this beautiful day that you're never going to get back?
absolutely. And I would add, what else is possible for you to do that is
Yeah.
helpful?
Yes. Right.
Because there's
Mhm.
always something else that's possible.
How can I turn like this thing? What's the most helpful way I could be? Oh, maybe to charge myself back up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the world is going to need people who are charged up because so many people are depleted and empty and running on fumes and are being they're in survival performance. They're not in peak performance. They might
Right.
think they're in peak performance, but they're in
Oh, yeah.
survival performance. So we need people who have a different level of performance energy that is powered by a different type of fuel.
It's more of like a spiritual container. There are those groups building around the world that are meditating. There are those monks that are walking here in
Mhm.
America, and
Yes,
like this other world exists. To your point, there's a peace going on, and everybody's invited to
absolutely true.
yeah. Oh, this is another good thing you said. The change guarantee.
Hmm,
From this chain, it's like an affirmation. From making this change, something good will come.
correct. So this comes from my first book. My first book was called The First 30 Days, and it was a combination of 1,000 people that I interviewed who had gone through all different types of change,
Oh, wow.
from the best ones you can imagine to the hardest ones you can imagine, and including the fertility changes and motherhood changes. And I just had one question I asked people, you know, over and over and over, which is, what can make change easier? What was the hardest change you went through? What's the best change you ever made? And I went looking for, are there principles that make change easier? And so that book is The Nine Principles of Change. And the
Mm,
change guarantee is probably one of my favorite. I've taught it for the last 15 years, all around the world, on stage, every companies globally. The change
yeah.
guarantee states that from this change, from this situation, something good will come. What do I mean by that? I mean that the minute you are able to tune your focus and your attention on something good coming from this situation, you will pull it in, and you will pull it in quicker than you can imagine. And it becomes what you are a match for instead of, how is this a bad thing? How did this happen? So I've taught it to children. I've had people put it on their cell phones. I've had people write it down. We are in a decade of change. We're in a year of probably some of the biggest changes we are going to see. And so the more you can develop a positive, optimistic relationship with change, the more you're going to thrive in this kind of year and these kind of decades.
Say the change guarantee one more time just
The,
to drive it in deeper.
yeah, the change guarantee states that from this change, this situation, something good will come.
Something
And
good.
it might not be what you're expecting. It might be in a different area of your life. It might be something you could never have dreamed of.
Mhm.
But there is always something good that comes with change, and it
Yeah.
comes over time.
Hmm. Yeah, you're not going to know what it is when you're going through it. It's once you get beyond it, and then you're like, oh, wow. Well, if that hadn't happened, this other amazing stuff that I love so much wouldn't be here.
You see the synchronicity of things. Which
Right.
is synchronicity a spiritual word? Is it a practical word? Is it a scientific word? To me, it's all three. But
Hmm.
synchronicity does point to miracles, and it does point to things we don't control. It does point to things we don't understand. But every single person listening to this has experienced moments of synchronicity. No question about it. So,
Yeah.
how do we get into more of that flow, more of that relationship to life itself, where
Hmm.
you have a real sense? that life is on your side and life is taking care of you. And it goes back to, from a spiritual perspective, are we here to get everything we want? That's the ego's perspective. Are we here to learn and grow and experience life in a human body and humanity and every emotion that's available to us? I'd probably bet on the second than the first. It's been my experience in a few
Yeah,
decades
same.
on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm at the well and filling up.
Oh, thank you.
Um,
Your questions are great. I'm really enjoying these. Like, you're the one that's pulling all this, you know,
yeah,
wisdom
I'm
coming
pulling all
through
this
me.
from your book.
Thank you.
They were things that just really, um, oh, they just resonated so loudly for me because, I've worked with okay, I don't lead gigantic rooms, and I'm not a huge motivational speaker like you are. I'm more one-on-one in the trenches, wiping tears of
Whoops.
individual women.
Yes.
There's been like 12,000 plus women, and then I have my global program and now this podcast. I won't ever meet so many of the women that are hearing my voice, but this this conversation of ways that we can help ourselves and that it is spiritual is just too important to not make into a 90-minute episode, to not comb through this book to find as many pearls as we could squeeze into 90 minutes, you know?
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
I want to
And
honor.
there's so many. I mean, I'm just thinking of another thing that I did, and I did it both to bring in my husband and to bring in my child, is I
Uh-huh.
wrote letters to them before either one of them were in my life.
Uh-huh. I believe
I
it.
called it Letters to My Beloved
Uh-huh.
and then Letters to My Child. And I have those letters. I have seen the miracle of what's possible, but there is power in writing to a being, whether you're trying to pull in, a partner or anything, a
Yeah.
friend, a job, a baby. There
Yeah.
is power in writing it as if it is already in your current manifestation and reality. And I have taught this to many, many people who have attracted, a beloved, who have attracted children, who have attracted things. But take a piece of paper out. It might sound crazy to the mind and the ego, and it's not mainstream. There is power in writing as if it's already happened. So with my child, I wrote, we're skiing. We are going to eat pancakes. We are going to go travel the world. Like, I mean, it was a done deal.
Yeah.
And I have all of those letters, and I've shared them. And it's this is tapping into the miracle field. This is tapping into it. It is and has and will happen.
Yeah.
So there's so many amazing little things that I've heard that people did all around the world. Writing letters was a very personal one for me.
Hmm.
But there's so many things that can be done.
When I was gestating my daughter, who's the first of my two against the odds kids, I was doing a lot of journaling and I also had an astrological reading. And I told him that that I kept hearing a voice in meditation. And granted, I was on a bed rest for 4 months. I
Mhm.
almost lost Kira at 22 weeks.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so I had a lot of time to be still and a lot of time just sort of like talking to her, maybe stay in there or whatnot. And one time I heard very clearly, I'm Kira Connors and I'm coming November 12th at 8:28 a.m.
Wow.
Very specific. So I mentioned that to the astrologer and I don't, and you let me know if you want to talk anything about astrology. I think we should talk about the alternative approaches in the book, but um, that is when Kira ended up coming into the world. And I think it was because I had that reading and then I journaled about it. And I was like, our communication is so deep and so detailed and so specific. And like this came through in this and this reading, and we constructed an astrological chart. It really tracks with the personality that I feel is what you're going to be like. And uh, sure enough, that is when she came into the world. So
Wow.
I think,
Miracle field.
yeah, to your
Miracle
point,
field to the ego, not the miracle field to something bigger, which is, yeah, this happens. It's possible.
yeah,
And it can sound extraordinary. And there are thousands of examples of
right.
people who have had who've heard something or they've seen something or they've gotten a sign and it's sort of I encourage people to just have antenna on their head and just go looking for how is life trying to communicate with you. It's
Yeah.
like it's everywhere.
Yeah, life is communicating through animals, through some kind of random synchronistic Wayne Dyer, who endorsed your book.
Yeah,
Um, he he has some amazing synchronistic stories, but I don't want to go off on a tangent. But I mean, there's just so much validation. Here, he said it's a review of the earlier book. I don't know if that was the Nine Principles of Change, but
yes, yes,
so Wayne says, I think about you and your messaging, right? This beautiful book is like having a compassionate friend guiding you through the beginning stages of any major change in your life. I loved it. And so he said that, and his power of intention, you spoke on that. I mentioned that in my book. It's what we're talking about here. And I think that to say, oh, letter writing is stupid, or I don't want to make time for that, or be judgy of the self and not do it is kind of prolonging your suffering because you can write it down. It's a personal thing. You can write it down and hide it. You can write it down and shred it. You can write it down and read it. You can read it out loud. You can really
absolutely.
give it some power or
Absolutely. And
without
I
even.
want to say something about astrology because you know, we look up in the sky. It's available to every human being on the planet. We see these planets, we see these stars. They do create a sense of mystery. They do create a sense of magic. And yet when we take it a step further and go, I wonder how they influence us, then a lot of people kind of shut down, right?
Yeah.
And I
Uh-huh.
kind of go, goes back to my favorite word, maybe they influence us.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
wonder, right? I
Yeah.
love the word wonder.
Uh-huh.
I wonder how connected as a woman I am to the moon. I wonder I was born in May 25th. I wonder how connected I am to the planets that were around on my birthday in a particular place. Will I ever know for sure? Of course not. And I'm open-minded, and I wonder, and anything is possible, and it's a maybe. And because of that, I'm very comfortable speaking to astrologists, hearing about astrology, because I believe everyone has potentially a gift or a piece of the puzzle. And if that can be a piece of the puzzle, I'm going to go
Hmm.
find my puzzle pieces. This might be a
Sure.
corner piece.
Yeah.
So, have I spoken to astrologists? Absolutely. Have I studied it? A little bit. Do I believe that the earth is, held in some form of a field and vibration together with other planets? So, it must be receiving some form of influence, of course. And if we live on the planet, I must be under its influence in some way. I think it's important to potentially hear in astrology what is going on in your chart. Because I've had people be able to relax where they're told, you know what, it's not this year. And then
Mm.
suddenly they relax. And by the way, sometimes it is the year, but
Yeah.
the relaxation allows them to sort of
Hmm.
show up very differently in their body. So if
Hmm.
there's a clue there, go find it. If there's no clue, throw it out.
Right, right. I have done some astrology readings for my patients, and oh, it's really whatever we're going to make it. I think I try to influence the positives coming through. Um, but anyway, it's really one of the many alternative approaches. Why don't we talk about those too?
Yeah,
So
of course.
you list so many in the book, which again I felt was really powerful and lets the woman have a lot of different options.
Mm.
Everything from acupuncture, astrology, breath work, channeling, color therapy, the
I loved
vibration
color
of
therapy.
colors.
I realized how little color I had in my life, and I was like, then I started wearing color, and then I started seeing colors, and then I started going, how colorful is my womb? Is my uterus black and white? Or is it like yellow and pink and purple and blue and green and red? And, when you ask people, I mean, it sounds like a strange question, but it's like create an environment that is beautiful and colorful. Are there waterfalls? Are they flowers? And this is where people kind of go, like, she's really weird. But you know what? Weird is good. Weird's created babies. Weird's created miracles. Weird is what makes you unique. Babies
Mhm.
come in such unique ways that
Yeah,
sometimes what you need is a connection to your uterus and your womb, right? Sometimes it's a connection to your period. Sometimes it's a connection to your thyroid. Sometimes it's a connection to your thighs or your hips that you don't like. Like, what do you need a connection to? That's not weird. That's a
right,
better question.
right. Yeah. And that's one of the later chapters is talking about the extremes, right? To suggest not living in that world of black or white, the
Yeah.
two extremes,
Or it
success
worked, it
we
didn't
are.
work.
Yeah, success or
Success and failure. I'm fertile, I'm infertile. Like the extreme positions, and we all do it,
mm,
I'm in love with my partner, I can't stand him. He must be the right guy, he's definitely the wrong guy. Like, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
even that, right? We go to extremes where we're more comfortable in the extremes than in what I call the gentle middle, which is, yep, sometimes sometimes it's a yes, and sometimes it's not what I wanted. But
I,
to really hold yourself grounded in the middle, because extremes create suffering. Both
yeah,
extremes create suffering because when you're in a really, really good positive place, guess what? Having written a book on change, I can tell you it's going to change. And so the swinging of the pendulum to the other side creates the suffering. And the same if, you're going through a pretty dark place and it's been a really hard time, month, week, year, I can guarantee you that's also going to change. And
mhm,
not being stuck in that extreme position that that's who you are or that's, what
yeah,
has your name on it. And just know that's also going to change.
yeah. I think that hanging out in the extremes is some form of protection. It's
Mm.
got to be something. But I love what you said. Love the title of that segment was Loving the Middle and Dropping the Extremes. And what are we doing but like the middle part of ourselves, the diaphragm, solar plexus,
Mm.
sense of self, and the middle, right where the uterus is and where we're going to be growing life,
Love that.
you
I
know?
haven't thought of that. That is the
Yeah.
middle.
Uh, yeah.
Ah, that is
Like
the
it's,
middle part of your body. And it's so often the part that we ignore or we've,
or we
learned
are
to push
ashamed
away
of.
or it's
Yeah.
not what we want. And
Yeah.
I mean, that poor part of your body is just going, come on, just give me a little love. Give me just a little.
Hey, stay here in the middle. Let it be okay. How could we forget to mention, and we're just about out of time, but um, hmm, I was just thinking we should talk about the partnership really quickly if we have some time. And then,
Mhm.
so you said we lost hope and nearly each other.
Yes,
Can we speak briefly on what this
yes,
process can
ab-
do to a partnership?
absolutely. So while going through a journey of wanting to bring in another child, um, in my case, and I know this is that a lot of people who are listening to this might resonate. Your partner, if and whether you have one, male or female, is also going through their journey, whether they are the one that is, going to get pregnant or helping you get pregnant. And there's a few things I know now that I wish someone had told me at the beginning, which is my partner, and in this case, my husband, cannot be my only source of help and
Yeah.
emotional relief and my grief counselor and my husband and my lover and my partner and my friend. That's way too much.
Much. Yeah.
Way too much on one person. And yet we live in a world where we do project that onto our partners. And not
Hmm.
only do we forget their own journey, but we have these expectations that are impossible to meet by any other human, especially not on a fertility journey. And so the thing that I would say is find girlfriends if there are family members who resonate at the miracle field that you want to have, bring them into the process. If they do not, please just say I'm on my journey. I'll let you know when we've got news. And leave it at that. Just be very loving, but be loyal to yourself first. Do not be loyal to other people. Be loyal to yourself first. Um, I would also say to just get help and to, there's so many coaches and fertility counselors now that can be that support network. Um, did we definitely, lost track of each other and we lost track of how beautiful life was because we were in the addict and we were in the obsessive. And every month, you know, we were on the roller coaster down of it wasn't happening.
Could you
And
clarify the addict part on
yeah,
that?
so the addict was one of the archetypes that I mentioned earlier, which is
Hmm.
the addiction to this is the only thing that has to and must happen for me to be happy.
Yeah.
It is the only thing that
Hmm.
must happen, right? So it becomes an
So limited.
obsession, a total obsession. Um, and the addict will do anything to get that one thing, and it will forget everything else and everyone else around it. So it's
Yeah.
dropping that addict energy that I certainly had, um, and just opening yourself up to, what else is working in my life? What else is beautiful in my life? What else is right in front of me in my life that I've suddenly shut out and closed my eyes to? I think for both, my husband and I, we did get help. We did speak to coaches. We did speak to counselors. Um, we meditated together. We prayed together. We traveled, together and by ourselves because we needed to sort of come back into wholeness and not be these kind of people who had gone through quite a challenging journey. And I would say that it made us a lot stronger because your partner is there to learn and grow with you and to also learn and grow without you, even when you're married. And so giving them the space and the freedom and the permission, very important, to grieve the way they want to grieve. If they want to go to the gym, let them go to the gym. That's
Yeah.
their grieving tool,
Hmm.
not mine.
Uh-huh.
Was my husband's, who still goes to
Yeah.
the gym every day.
Yeah.
That's his tool. And that
Yeah.
is absolutely appropriate.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of ways are appropriate. Um, and if they're not appropriate, then get help.
Yeah.
But I would say to really give each other some grace that they will find their way. And when you give each other grace and you don't pull on them, right? You're not kind of doing the pulling on them. You will find each other because you'll come back whole and you'll come back complete and you'll come back healed. And healing is a lifetime journey. I'm still healing
Hmm.
from a lot of things, and it's a lifetime journey. And I think one of the quickest way to help your healing journey is to help others. And it's one of the things I'm hoping to be doing with this book, Spirit Mama. It's part of my healing journey to help other women and other couples bring in children in the ways that are spiritually aligned and will be right for them. So this is healing for me. This podcast is healing. All these
Yeah.
the conversations that I have, everything that I still hear is healing. Do you see? And so in some ways some of the hardest things I've gone through have now become some of the most beautiful ways that I get to also serve and contribute.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the same thing
It's,
for you, Danica. You are, I can
it's,
tell, I mean, we haven't spoken much about you, but I can tell that you are all about,
I'm right
serving
there
other
with you.
human beings and contributing and having, we're all equal as souls and we are all going to be given things that are going to wake us up and are going to have us choose how we want to relate and be in life.
Change us into that something good, right?
Yeah.
I know when I wrote Stick It To Me, Baby, and there were 33 chapters, I thought, like, oh my God, this is too much. Nobody's gonna like it. The name is sexual or whatever. It's this, interesting thing, but it was broken into three parts. It was like, hey, can you open your mind a little to the spiritual part? Okay, the second part was, can you go a little bit deeper? And the third part was, now we're really into the deepest parts of this. And it had my story woven into 33 other women's stories, but the
Wow.
final piece of it was this readiness factor that can't be faked. And that speaks to the antennas and it speaks to the integration of all the things and doing them just enough, or like letting what we do, if it feels like we've done it enough, then it's enough. The field
Yes.
doesn't know any different if we read the whole book or just skimmed it or
Yes.
whatever. Like we don't, it's really amazing. I want to kind of wrap up with one more quote from your book. It
Mm.
says, essentially, I'm paraphrasing. You were saying the importance of giving up the how and when, relying on courage and commitment while questioning the core of who we are and what life is about, overcoming self-hatred and the inability to be in control. And I feel like if we can, listeners, you and I, if we can just balance those things, okay?
Yes.
Realize you can't give up control, but realizing like we are courageous and that's really awesome. That's a good thing.
Yeah. And I'll add one thing too, which is one of the things that helped me the most was giving up the why. Why is
Yeah.
this happening? Why is this not happening? Why is it happening for me? Why is it happening to
Yeah.
me? And I remember my first miscarriage when I got some help with that. That
Mm,
was probably the best coaching that I was given, which is stop the why, stop asking why, because why never has an answer, and why will keep you in a suffering place. And so I changed the why to, what was this for? Or how can I use this? Or
mhm,
how can this be of service? But the why is that's the one where
mhm.
you can take the elevator into the basement,
Yeah.
and that's not where joy is or sex is or babies are, right? You got to take the elevator back up. And I think dropping the why question. And the other last thing I just wanted to say is that there's really there's really nothing to do, right? This isn't like a whole long list of things to do. I would encourage anyone even who doesn't want to bring in a child for now or even in the future to open to this. It's not a doing thing. It's an opening to,
Mhm,
because our to-do lists are already full. So this is the opposite of a to-do list. This is an opening to my real self. It's an opening to my body. It's an opening to love. It's an opening to life being on my side. It's an opening to I'm not alone. It's an opening to the universe has my back. It's an opening to there's beauty and miracles and possibility. None of that is a to-do list. That is the plan I'm signing up for. And I'm not on a fertility journey right now. And I'm still on
yeah.
that plan. It's
Aha.
not a to-do list. It's
Hmm.
really every aspect of your life will get better.
Yeah.
Whether the gift will be to your child or if it's the gift to yourself or your partner or who and what you're going to be in the world.
Hmm. Dang, you said that so good.
Oh, thank you.
It's
That
really,
came
oh,
through.
I love this episode so much. Ariane, where can people find you?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So the book is, of course, available wherever books are sold, Amazon. It's also available on our website. The website is spiritmamabook.com. arianemotherhood.com. It's very simple, not a lot of bells and whistles, a little bit about my story. You'll see the table of contents there for free in the introduction if you're still wondering what this is. So all of that stuff is free. You can also find me on Instagram. Spirit Mama Official is the Instagram handle. My own Instagram handle is my full name, Ariane De Bonvoisin. And I'd love to also offer the Spirit Mama Manifesto, as I call it,
Please tell us
which is,
more.
yeah, it's, you know what, it's a summary of all the phrases that I wanted to remind women to step into and to be and to embody about themselves, about their bodies, about life, about love, about the universe. So that's totally free. It's everywhere. It's on the website, it's on my Instagram, and it's on the Spirit Mama official Instagram. You'll see it there in the profile. If you sign up, we'll send it to you for free, of course. And I would say please keep in touch. You know, this is really important to me. This
Oh,
is one of the reasons I feel that I'm here and you know, being in the life that I've been given, and there's something magical about motherhood, and this is the beginning. There's two more books coming that I'm birthing because it is a series, right? There's Spirit
yeah.
Mama pregnancy and birth, because
Uh-huh.
there are ways of going through that journey from a
Yeah.
very open-hearted, trusting, connected, intuitive place. And then the third book is the early years. So it's really how to raise a conscious child that will stay awake and will stay connected to this type of energy and field.
Wow. That's fantastic. And so much support coming from you. You work with women on a one-on-one or partner couples, so
I do.
virtual. Okay, and they can schedule with you through your
They
website.
can, absolutely. And you know what? Sometimes it's just one session. I
Uh-huh.
feel sometimes the one sessions are
Mm,
the best because there's already so much wisdom there that it's just like a GPS where you just
mhm.
need to move it a couple of degrees.
Yeah,
Most people are really already on the journey. If they're listening to you, they're already on the journey.
yeah.
That it's just a little suggestion, and a 1 or 2 degree shift on a
Uh-huh.
plane or a GPS can have you end up in a completely different place and
That's true.
territory.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I do not want to end, but we need to. So, any final thoughts for the listeners out there as we say goodbye?
No, my final thought is that you found this episode for a reason, that you are being guided, that there is something in it for you. I don't know what that is. And if you didn't hear something for you, maybe there's something for a friend or someone else who's going on the journey that you might want to forward it to. And maybe that thing for you is in the book, or maybe it's on the website, or maybe it's on something that we'll be posting. I'm pretty active on social media. I've made myself be active on social media in the just the last few months
Mm.
because I realize that that is where a lot of people are looking for information. So I've pushed
Mhm.
myself into quite an uncomfortable place because it was easier for me to hide and not be on social media. But I
Yeah.
realized that part of being in service is being there.
Mhm.
So yeah, please come. You're not alone. Please come find us. If it's not me, it's someone else in your beautiful podcast, Danica. And I hope that our paths cross in person one day.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, that'll
I
be
really
wonderful.
would. Well, I think wrapping up a wonderful conversation is always the hardest part for me. So I just want to say thank you again for your message, for your light, for your time
Of
today,
course,
and
Danica. Thank you.
wait to drop this episode. Thanks again. I loved
Thank
meeting you
you.
today.
Bless you. Thank you so much.